Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we've got an episode of This Is Not a Top 10, a massive undertaking today. I probably should have been resting because tomorrow we have a big interview with Liz Moores of Papillon fame. So I probably shouldn't be out here doing these long videos, and I did not expect, I should have expected it, but one of my subscribers, you know who you are, thank you for the recommendation on this video, mentioned that I never did a This Is Not a Top 10 vanilla video. And I thought I did one. So I looked back through my videos. Nope, sure enough, I did not. So I figured, let's knock it out. I've got some time before I need to run to the store. Let's knock this video out, shall we? And then I started building the list. And as you know, vanilla is in everything. Everything. So I had to make some choices, okay? There's a lot of stuff here. A lot. I like to be as thorough as possible, as you guys know, but I can't pick everything. There's stuff with vanilla that's not in here. It's just the way it is. If your favorite vanilla fragrance is left out, I'm sorry. Obviously, I don't have everything. I'm just one individual. This is my personal collection. Let's do scent of the day and hop into this. Otherwise, this video will take 10 hours. So, scent of the day is Anubis by Papillon. And wearing this again, oh my God. I mean, it's 100 degrees out in Texas, 103. And I went to the mailbox after I sprayed this, and I thought, you know what? I don't care that this is a winter fragrance. I love it so much that it's just beautiful. Even in the heat, it just radiates this resinous, thick, and it looks like an extrait. Look, I sprayed this like 10 minutes ago. I thought for sure it was an extrait. It's not. It's an eau de parfum. But it feels and acts like an extrait. It's absolutely amazing. We'll talk more about her fragrances tomorrow with Liz Moores. Check out the live stream tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 5 o'clock UK time. I hope to see a lot of you in there and participating, because it is going to be open forum. I've got some questions for her, but I'm also going to let you guys ask her some questions. All right, so let's do the decants first. We're gonna burn through these, okay? Because otherwise it's going to take forever. The first is Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male Le Parfum. This is a flanker of the original Le Male, which is coming up later in the... Oh, God. Got in my nose. Disgusting. It's so sweet. I don't like Le Male. I might actually like this more than the regular Le Male. This is a Quinton Biche creation, I believe. Lavender, vanilla, and cardamom and iris. And I think the cardamom and iris make it a little bit more palatable for me. But yeah, I need to... And I realize my decants are evaporating, so I need to wear these and talk about them on the channel. I've been putting them off, mostly because I don't like that fragrance, but... Some of the stuff in decant form I don't like, and some of the stuff in decant form I love so much I just can't find a bottle. Okay, next is going to be St. Dupont's Perfect Tobacco, EDP. This came out in 2019, marketed by Inter Parfums. I've told you before, I think Inter Parfums does great fragrances, and this is basically a rose oud combo, okay? It says tobacco. It says perfect tobacco, but it's a rose oud with a combo tobacco and vanilla, okay? Cinnamon, vanilla, tobacco, and a rose oud combo. It's actually a really nice fragrance, but it is sweet, and that's why I'll never own a full bottle. It's too sweet for me, but I was impressed by it. I want to check more of this St. Dupont brand out. Okay, next is one of my favorite fragrances of all time that I don't have a full bottle of. I do have a 30 ml decant, and I still have a lot of juice left. It's MDCI's Chypre Palatin. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's Oriental Chypre, if you will. And it's got galbanum. It's got these green touches at the top, almost like Musk Cartier has that green galbanum. You know, and oriental vibe underneath, if you will. This has some of that. This has some of that. It's castoreum underneath. It's dirty. There's immortelle. There's tolu balsam, styrax, vanilla. Anubis is so beautiful. But I love this fragrance. It's one of my favorite Bertrand Duchaufour creations of all time. This and Jubilation 25 and So many things he's done. Go watch my Bertrand Duchefort Parfumeurs portfolio video if you are interested in learning more about his creations. Okay, next is going to be Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. When people think of vanilla, this is probably one of the ones they think of. It is tobacco and vanilla, as the name says, but it's also cacao, dried fruits, resins, tonka bean. I think this is actually a really good fragrance. I know some people say, it's too sweet, or for me, even as a guy that doesn't like sweet fragrances, I like this. And I wish I would have got a full bottle of this rather than the Frank Bachlet tobacco that I got a full bottle of. I just like this more. This does something more for me. Olivier Guillotine is the perfumer, by the way. And then, a Les Indemodables. This is a fragrance called Oriental Velours. If I was going to buy one Les Indemodables, it might be this one, because this has this spicy, resinous myrrh quality. The two main notes are myrrh and spruce. How many fragrances can you think of that have a green spruce note in it? So it's myrrh and spruce with jasmine, jasmine auriculatum, I guess it's a type of jasmine, bourbon vanilla, and Haitian vetiver. It's actually a fantastic fragrance. Maybe a little overpriced, but I love it. Okay, next is going to be one of the MFKs I would buy a full bottle of. I think this might be one of his best fragrances. It's a fragrance called Ciel de Gamme. This is a 12 ml decant that I ended up scoring. Again, very simple fragrance. MFK does good fragrances when he keeps things simple. And Ciel de Gamme is basically a vanilla, jasmine, amber, pink pepper. I love this fragrance. It is floral. The jasmine is there, definitely, but it's so good. This is one of the ones I would love a full bottle of. Hard to find, very expensive now, discontinued, unfortunately. LVMH came in and discontinued all of the, his good fragrances, I think. Sorry. Sorry for the sniffling. Someone got on me once for sniffling on the streams, but when I talk nonstop, my voice gets dry, gets some drainage, Gotta kind of sniffle it out sometimes, so I do apologize if that grosses you out. Okay, next, Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. Now, this one and Tom Ford's Noir, the version for women, I forget what it's called, Noir Parfum, is, they could almost be interchangeable. They're both kind of sweet Oriental fragrances. This may be a little bit more gourmand, Noir Extreme. It has this note of kulfi, and there's this mastic, resinous, vanilla-like quality with spicy saffron and cardamom and nutmeg. But there's some freshness from the orange and neroli at the top. And of course, there's a little bit of florals in the heart with sandalwood. It's beautiful. In the cold weather, I like this fragrance. The only thing that stops me from buying a bottle is it's just much too popular. I don't want to smell like other guys, I want to smell different, and so many people have that fragrance nowadays. Okay, next is going to be Trussardi Python for women. Now, this is one people do not have, and it's kind of like an early gourmand fragrance because it has this dark chocolatey feel. Beautiful bottle. This is a little 10 ml, I think, that I got from Le Parfumé. Yeah, it's dark chocolate. And imagine the way the jasmine and the sandalwood mixes in Samsara. You get some of that here, but with like a more gourmand touch, a chocolatey vanilla, if you will. It's a beautiful fragrance, and don't let the fact that it's made for women put you off. If you're a guy, give that one a try if you like fragrances that have that dark chocolate vibe. If you like dark chocolatey patchouli, even though there's no patchouli here, that vibe is in this fragrance. That dark chocolate sandalwood, it's beautiful. Okay, next is one of the best ambers I've ever smelled, just pure out and out amber. It's called Ambre Précieux by Maître Parfumé et Gantier. Myrtle, lavender, vanilla, big vanilla, labdanum, nutmeg, coumarin, and Peru balsam, Tolu balsam with, it's supposedly real ambergris. I don't know if that's true or not, but it is a beautiful fragrance, and I'm glad to have had a chance to experience it. Would I buy a bottle? No, I would not, but I'm glad to get to smell it. Now, here's one I would buy a bottle of, like this. In fact, if anyone has one for sale, please let me know. I want a bottle of this bad. This is one of my favorite Guerlains that I can't find a bottle of. It's called Garland Metallica. They actually had to change the name to Metallice because Metallica, the band, sued them. But it's a floral powder. Oh, God. It's a floral powdery fragrance that has one of the most beautiful vanilla notes I've ever smelled. Only Guerlain can do vanilla like this. I mean, in the dry down, you get this iris. You know, iris just gives this lovely powderiness, you know. The vanilla here is unlike anything I've ever smelled. It's maybe, honestly, it's maybe the only fragrance that can compete with Shalimar, my favorite vanilla. This is it. Only a Guerlain can compete with a Guerlain. I just can't find it. It's impossible to find. And when I do find it, prices are outrageous, but I'd rather spend $600 on that than a Xerjoff or a freaking Roja, you know? Which I do like Xerjoff and Roses sometimes. I own one Xerjoff, I own some Rojas, but now that I have the ones I like, if I'm going to spend $600 on a fragrance, I'd rather it be Metallica. Okay, now one I haven't talked about on my channel before. This is thanks to my perfume fairy godfather / mother. They wish to remain anonymous. And this is Terence Hughes Tabac. Tabac has a tobacco bourbon vanilla feel with damask rose, Burmese oud, cedar, and ambergris. And I haven't given it a wear. It is compared to a fragrance I own a full bottle of from a house called Ambre Oud, called Oud Tabac. And this is Tabac. It's basically a tobacco, vanilla, and oud fragrance. And so I will wear that more. It's a little 10 ml decant, but I will wear it more and I will talk about it. I've never talked about this brand on my channel. I've never done a review. I've never done a first impression, nothing. But once it gets cold, I'll do one of Tabac. Okay, and then we've got a Diptyque Oud Palau. Now, if you want a oud fragrance that doesn't cost a lot of money, okay, but you want it to have a little bit of funk to it, you know, you want to move away from something like Oud Wood or Creed's Royal Oud. You want to go to something a little bit, let's say you want to go to the next level, but you don't want to go to Bortnikov or Russian Adam. You don't want to go straight to the top of the mountain. Go for Oud Palau. This is a fantastic oud. Oh, I love it. It's that dirty Laotian oud, but it's mixed with this Bulgarian rose, patchouli, sandalwood, Nagamatha oil, which is cypriol, Somalian frankincense, and Spanish cistus. This is one of their best fragrances, and this is one I wish I had a full bottle of. I love Oud Palau. That Oriental, let me just smell it one more time. Oh, I need to wear that soon. I really like this, really like this. For just a regular old oud, I don't know if they use real oud or not, but you know, it smells very natural. Now, if you want one that does use real oud that mixes with vanilla, check out Dusita's Oud Infini. Oud Infini is her best fragrance, by far, I think. Although I haven't smelled everything, but it seems like it's her best fragrance. This animalic rose oud with, she claims Mysore sandalwood. I don't know if it's real Mysore or not, but there's this bourbon vanilla absolute, but it's funky. It's funky Laotian oud with May rose and civet. And that dirty oud and dirty civet, they you know, it's like two kids playing nana nana boo boo with each other. They're just messing with you the whole time. It never goes away. The dirtiness stays. But if you have a nose for animalics, okay, if you can stand it, if you're someone like me who when you smell War and Peace for the first time, you're like, this isn't that animalic. You know, if you're that kind of person where you always want more, your heart always desires more animalics, Oud Infini is a beautiful perfume because you'll start to notice the lovely rose and sandalwood and stuff like that in the perfume. It's fantastic. Okay, now let's move to the bottles, shall we? So first up on the list, we're going to do a Rouge. And this is Rouge's Creation E, or Enigma Pour Homme. I bought this off of Rudy. Thank you, Rudy, by the way. He kept it in pristine condition. I'm just waiting for winter to get to wear this. I did a comparison between Enigma or Creation E Cologne, the one in the colored bottles, versus the Parfum version on my channel. Oh, I actually really like this fragrance because it has this cognac vanilla combo in the dry down with tobacco, and their fragrances I love. You know, I love wearing cognac and tobacco in the winter, and in the cold weather, this is just perfect. Even though there's some sweetness here, I absolutely love this, and that cola sparkly opening gets me every time. I just want to spray it and spray it and spray it. All right, now we're going to do a diptyque. I prefer my diptyques in eau de toilette normally, except for like Oud Palau. I would say most of the diptyques I prefer in eau de toilette, although I think my tempo might be eau de parfum. But this is Eau Duel. And you can kind of see the Taj Mahal in the background, which is another famous vanilla fragrance story coming up at the end of the video. 2010 this came out, Fabrice Pellegrin, and this is basically Cypriol, bourbon vanilla, pink pepper, and calamus. And so what you basically get is you get this duel, if you will, Eau Duel, this duel to the top of the mountain between incense and vanilla. It's basically this combo, and they fight each other in the fragrance. It's beautiful. I think it's a good fragrance. Some people hate it. I like it. It's nothing groundbreaking, but if you just want an easy vanilla, check out Eau Duel. All right, we got to get a move on it because we are just starting and we got a ton of fragrances to go through. Next is going to be Caron's Pour un Homme. Now, I will urge you to get this bottle. If you have my taste like me, get the one that looks like this. Do not get the new one that looks like this. And here's why. I did some research, okay? Because these smell completely different to me. And they were saying, well, the founder says that the formula hasn't been changed since 1934 in this bottle that's being issued now. And there's a little bit of a asterisk next to that. Because while the one they're issuing now may not be changed from 1934, they did make a change 30, 40, 50 years ago because people's taste changed. And they made this more animalic. All right, so they added some dirtier notes to the composition in this bottle. And then when they changed it back to the original formula from the 30s, which was just clean lavender and vanilla and maybe a little bit of musk, right? Maybe some Papanax, maybe some rose or styrax, but mostly just lavender, vanilla, and musk, and that's it. And you get more animalics here. There's something added extra, and that's what I like so much more. If you like the animalic fragrances and you hate just plain boring lavender vanilla, check out this one. Check out this version. These bottles can still be had for pretty cheap. I think Le Parfumé even has some. You know, these older bottles like this. And there is a niche house. I can't think of the name. Rich Mitch just did an early impression video on it today. Celine. Celine put out a fragrance that smells very similar to Pour un Homme, but there's this like rice note in it. And they're charging $200-300 for that. Just pay your $40 and get the Pour un Homme. All right, now we're going to do a Annick Menardo. She's one of my favorite perfumers, and this is Chypre Homme. Now, this is the Eau de Parfum, but you could also get, or I'm sorry, this is the Eau de Toilette, but you could also get the Eau de Parfum. You can see the notes there on the back. I don't know if you can see the vanilla right there. Bergamot, heliotrope, woods, and vanilla. with cardamom and, you know, some cinnamon, nutmeg, and stuff like that, cloves. But it's such a fantastic Oriental fragrance, and value for money is through the roof. I did a comparison between the EDT and the EDP. I used to think I really preferred the EDP, but as my nose has matured, I think I'm starting to prefer the EDT even more. It's a little fresher. I think it's a little bit more masculine. The vanilla is heavier in the EDP, I think. Okay, now we're going to go to one of my other favorite perfumers, who's Nathalie Lorson, and she did a fragrance with Firmenich and Aurélien Guichard called This Is Him by Zadig and Voltaire. Now, This Is Him is basically Nathalie Lorson doing to incense what she did to vetiver with Encre Noire. Okay? Encre Noire is, you know, one of the best budget fragrances money can buy. Okay? And she basically did the same thing to incense here. This is a beautiful peppery frankincense with vanilla and sandalwood. Simple combination. Just like Encre Noire is kind of simple. And you can smell her DNA, her touch, her signature all over this. You know, she likes to use that peppery, woody combo, but she mixed it with sandalwood here and vanilla, and it's gorgeous. I think this is one of the most underrated incense fragrances you can buy on a budget. Obviously, I'm not talking about Bois d'Encens from Armani or, you know, Towers Incense Extreme. Those are triple, quadruple, maybe even 5 times the price of this. But for value for money, I think it's through the roof. Okay, now we're going to do a discontinued fragrance. This is Lanvin Arpège Pour Homme. Now, Arpège obviously is one of the most famous perfumes for women from the 20s of all time. They tried to resurrect the name and get the brand moving again. Didn't work. They tried to make the bottle look like Dior Homme, which was a big hit in 2005. This came out at the end of 2005. Dior Homme came out earlier in 2005. Olivier Pechot did this fragrance, so it's a good name. It's a good fragrance. And compared to Dior Homme, the vanilla is much more amped up in this, but this is an iris fragrance for men. Peppery iris with nutmeg, patchouli, sandalwood, tonka, and vanilla in the base. That vanilla is much more prominent here versus Dior Homme. It's a good fragrance. It just smells more designer. I'd take Dior Homme every day, but I'm glad to have it, and I'll do a video on that fragrance one day. Okay, now we're going to do a house I don't talk very much about. It's a house called Imaginary Authors, and this is a fragrance called Memoirs of a Trespasser. And this is probably my favorite from the brand, Memoirs of a Trespasser. I also like the one that has that strawberry note in it. Kind of reminds me of a Serge Lutens fragrance that is very hard to find. Like a niche version of it. There's just too many fragrances. I can't remember everything. It's the one that smells like pine forest on fire, you know. But anyway, this is a Josh Meyer. You can see the notes on the back. It's Madagascar vanilla with Gaiac wood, myrrh, bergamot, benzoin resins, ambrette seeds, and oak barrels. And as far as like a vanilla for winter wear, bourbon vanilla, this is really beautiful. I love the note of ambrette. There's very little that has ambrette in it that I don't like. And I'm not a big fan of this brand, but to be fair, I do like this one a lot. Fil en Aiguille is the Serge Lutens fragrance I was thinking about. That the other Memoirs or Imaginary Authors fragrance I like called Cape Heartache reminds me a little bit of that green resinous, but there's a big fruity strawberry in Cape Heartache. That's kind of weird. All right, let's stay on track. Next is called Sorella Fontana If for Men. Sorella Fontana If for Men. Now, this is from a Nuge, and he might still have bottles, actually. If you like fragrances like Boucheron Pour Homme, I would highly recommend you check out this If for Men. They've got one of my favorite poems of all time from Rudolph Kipling. in the book when you open it up. Cool packaging from back in the 90s. And the bottle sits like so. Here's the bottle. I've worn this. I've shown it off before. I've talked a little bit about it before. It's very similar to Chypre Homme, but it came out years before, actually. I thought Annick Menardo Chypre Homme was like a unique composition at the time. When I discovered it, I was like, wow, this is completely unique. But that was 98. And If for Men came out in 94. 4 years earlier this came out. And it's very similar. Vanilla benzoin oriental base with musk and tonka. With cinnamon, there's a pimento note here. I don't think there's any pimento in Chypre Homme. And it smells a little more green at the top because there is a galbanum and a myrtle note. And it smells a little bit more aromatic. The lavender and basil make it a little bit more Italian slash aromatic at the top. So it still goes into that resinous vanilla ambery dry down, but it's just more Italian. It's fresher at the top, which makes it maybe even a little bit more versatile. But it's a beautiful fragrance, and I think Anouge has these bottles at Enchanté for very cheap. I don't think they're very expensive because no one talks about this. And you know that in order to talk about it, first of all, you have to know about it. No one knows about it, number one. And then number two, you have to wear it and break it down and talk about it, which again, no one does. So Sorella Fontana If for Men's kind of one of those sleeper fragrances no one talks about. All right, let's get a move on it. Next on the list is a perfume created by one of my favorite perfumers of all time, Gerard Anthony. We have back-to-back Gerard Anthonys that have vanilla in it. This is Cristobal pour Homme. And Cristobal is 2000, this came out. Woody. There's a coffee and tea note in here, which is very interesting. Coffee and tea with mugwort, white pepper. There's a tobacco and vanilla dry down, but it's very designer-ish. Very, very, very early 2000s designer, if that makes sense. There is benzoin. It's a little bit resinous. Some people say this smells like Givenchy's pie. I've never smelled pie. I don't know. But I'm glad to have this fragrance. I love Gerard Anthony's work. If you ever want to wear just something, you know, easy, designer-ish, but different from what everyone else is wearing, I'll sometimes reach for this. Cristobal, and it's getting very hard to find. So if you can find a bottle at a good price, snatch it up. All right. And then, of course, my favorite Balenciaga. Balenciaga pour Homme, the masterpiece. And, oh, God. This has vanilla in the base with patchouli. It's that patchouli that really stands out. But the vanilla's in the background. And honey. There's this honey, lavender, jasmine, lily of the valley, sandalwood, and benzoin. Patchouli is kind of the one of the stars of the show, I would say. The vanilla is kind of more it plays a, you know, a background role, if you will, a supporting role. But it's beautiful. I mean, if you've never smelled Balenciaga pour Homme, it's one of the greatest masculines of all time. All right, now we're going to go to a couple Rochas, and the first one is called Rochas Louis. You can see the bottle right here. This is a tester I got from, I think MDCI sold me this tester. Weird bottle. It like rocks, you know. But it's a woody, spicy fragrance. It's a beautiful neroli, actually. Neroli and lemon. It has that neroli clean. You know, today Rich Mitch said neroli can feel like there's like a piece of, like a wrapping paper over the fragrance, and you can't get to it. It offers that clean, sheer, almost like you put a, you know, one of those coverings that you can, one of those plastic coverings you cover food with to put in the fridge. And I know what he means by that. There is a note of sycamore wood, cedar wood, sweetgrass, and then the base is amber, patchouli, and vanilla. It's one of the vanilla fragrances that you could easily wear I usually wear this in the summer. This is like a summer, spring fragrance for me, I would say. But it is discontinued, and it is very hard to find. It's a Michel Almerac, master perfumer, Michel Almerac. But that's one to put on the list if you're a fan of Neroli. And then the Rochas Man that I just really don't like and can't stand. It's literally called Rochas Man in this insane bottle of whatever you want it to be. A lava lamp, or, you know, you make up your mind. It opens up like this. And there's the sprayer. Rochas Man is marketed by Inter Parfums. And they don't do bad fragrances. Like I said, I really don't believe they do. Everything I smell from them is good. This is a good fragrance. The problem is, it's super sweet. Uber sweet. I don't think men's scents should be this sweet. I don't think any scent should be this sweet, to be honest with you. It's this ultra sweet gourmand. There is a coffee note in here. I do like that. If I can stand the sweetness, you know, and get to the coffee note, I enjoy that. The vanilla, of course, is in the base with lavender in the top. It's, you know, it's kind of like if you know Bond Number 9 New Harlem that got discontinued, that used to smell like syrup and pancakes, this is the closest replacement you can find nowadays for cheap. All right? Because Bond Number 9 New Harlem is selling for big money. Don't pay that. Just buy Rochas Man. They're very close. All right, now we're going to go to Amouage Fate Woman in one of the most beautiful bottles you'll ever see. Fate Woman is an oriental spicy fragrance by Amouage that has this chili note in the top that makes it very unique. Beautiful frankincense from Oman, of course, with vanilla, frankincense, benzoin, castoreum, and patchouli, oak moss, and leather. It's a oriental. It's almost like their take on opium, which is next. I grabbed opium too. So YSL's opium, Amouage's Fate Woman is kind of like a niche take on opium. Now, this is one of the vintage bottles with the 80 degrees, 80 proof, as they say. 1977, probably the greatest Oriental of all time, outside of something like Shalimar or, you know, Emerald, which I don't own, unfortunately. But the vanilla, Papanax, myrrh, resins in the base is really what makes this. But there's a beautiful clove note. The clove in here is outstanding. Spicy carnation. I mean, the floral heart, everything. Orris root. I mean, it's one of the best Orientals money can buy. Okay, now we're going to go to a flanker from Dior. This is Dior Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Or now I think they just call it Parfum. Yeah, Fahrenheit Parfum. No more Le Parfum. 2014. This came out. Dior, of course, puts the little touches on the bottle. I do like this. The Parfum bottle is like, you know, a shrunken version of a crushed version of the Fahrenheit bottle, if you will. Francois Demachy put this out, which he's doing what he does best, which is flankers, riffing off of other people's work. This is lavender, lemon, pink pepper with violet leaf, leather, and bourbon vanilla absolute in the base, Gaiac wood, birch, patchouli, cedarwood, and vetiver. And whenever I smell this, you know, when I first smelled this, I didn't like it, okay? I smelled it and I went, what is this? This is not the Fahrenheit that I love. You know, it doesn't have the violet leaf heavy gasoline opening. It's sweet. It's probably more feminine. And I didn't like it. And then I was like, you know what if they discontinue it and I want a bottle? It just felt like something that could be discontinued because they discontinued the Absolute, which I love the most out of the two flankers. If I had to pick one, I'd pick the Absolute that has that dark myrrh. Francois Demachy uses myrrh beautifully. And it's there, myrrh and oud. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy it, whatever. It's available. I got it at a discounter. I never wear it because it's too sweet for me. I'd rather just wear Fahrenheit. And I just felt like there was no place in Fahrenheit for vanilla. You know what I mean? Like, why are they putting vanilla in Fahrenheit? But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Is it a bad fragrance? No. It's just not my personal thing. Okay. Now, here's one that is my thing. And instantly, one of the... instantly, one of my favorite amber fragrances. I mean, instantly, as soon as I wore it for the first time, I went, wow, where has this been all my life? And where has this house been? And why did it take me so long to give this house a chance? This is a Parfum d'Empire, and it's called Ambre Rousse. Ambre Rousse starts with 2 liquor notes, champagne and vodka. And it transitions to this cumin, which is kind of animalic, ambergris, which is kind of animalic, and tea. And it's so contrasting because, you know, you think of the Russian countryside, right? You think of vodka, you think of champagne, celebration, right? You have the celebration in maybe the bourgeoisie class. You have the vodka in the proletariat class, or whatever you want to call them. The working man drinks vodka in Russia. And there's some dirtiness from the cumin and the ambergris. I mean, I think Russia has one of the largest landlocked lakes in the world. There's ambergris, there's cinnamon, but then the base is this leathery, smoky frankincense with a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of sweetness from the vanilla. And it feels like an amber. It's called Ambre Rousse. But it's so good, and this led me on to buying like 5 other of their fragrances. I was like, wow, and every one I tried is amazing. I mean, the house is underrated, definitely underrated. I'll do videos on those one day for sure. Okay, now this is one of the most heavy, syrupy, vanilla-y tonka bean fragrances you can buy. This is Yop Homme. This is the vintage Lancaster version. That's the one you want if you're going to do this. The super pink green juice is disgustingly sweet. It's even sweeter than this, more synthetic. If you can get the version that says Lancaster on the bottom, do it. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. It's this orange blossom heliotrope fragrance with big cinnamon, huge cinnamon, and vanilla and tonka in the base. And the tonka and heliotrope give it that powdery Play-Doh-like vibe, you know, like you put a mold on your tooth and it keeps the outline of the tooth when you pull it out. That's the feel when you wear it, like texture, you know, thick vanilla. You got to be in the mood for that and only wear it in the cold weather. Okay, next, another Francis Kurkdjian creation. This is Gaultier². So the whole idea with Gaultier² is that these came with 2 bottles stapled side by side. So you got like, this is 120 ml each. So you got 240 mils of juice when you bought the big boy bottle like this. They each had their own sprayer. And this is basically Francis Kurkdjian doing what he does. Like I said, he does very well when he keeps it simple, like in Ciel de Gum, right? Said that 38 minutes ago. Gaultier² is kind of the same idea, but with vanilla as the star. It's vanilla, amber, and musk. And that's it. That white musk that he uses that's so freaking boring is here. And it literally smells like it smells like you're wearing like a cake, like cake batter, like vanilla ice cream cake batter. It's not my thing. But it is discontinued. I want to be able to talk about it. I want to wear it. Rumor is they might bring this back. And I wonder if there'll be reformulation fears or who knows. But for me, it's just too sweet, too boring. Boring white musk. But I wore this once and my wife goes, "Ooh, you smell great. You should wear that more." And I went, "Oh, God." Whatever. To each their own. Now, here's an amber I do like. This is a Jean-Claude Elena. He did it for L'Artisan back in 2001. Can't believe he did this in 2001. This is L'Eau d'Ambre Extrême. And I like this fragrance a lot. I think it's underrated. It's an amber that has a lot of moving parts to it. It's not as boring as Gaultier². It's probably up there with Ambre Précieux for just like one of the best just out and out ambers, although my favorite's coming soon. One of my favorite ambers. I already mentioned Ambre Rousse. Another one's coming up soon. This is a good one too. The vanilla and the tonka, of course, are in the base. It's going to be like that in Oriental amber fragrances. That's why there's so many vanillas. But the top has this nutmeg, mace, and pepper combo that keeps it spicy. Oh, and cardamom. So it's like this spicy, peppery, but then it goes into this beautiful Turkish rose. There's this rose patchouli thing that starts to happen, and you're instantly kind of just dragged into the pool of vanilla and tonka, but it's never disgustingly sweet. Everything else, all the other moving parts, the rose, the peppers, the cardamom, keeps it from going to that just disgusting, boring, sweet place that Gaultier 2 goes to. Underrated amber, low to ambre extreme. All right, we are making headway slowly but surely. Now let me show you my favorite amber. Ambre Sultan by Serge Lutens, Christopher Sheldrake, masterpiece. Oh, amber, angelica root, benzoin, coriander, labdanum, bay leaf, myrtle, oregano, patchouli, sandalwood, styrax, tolu balsam, and of course, vanilla. The whole reason it's on this list. I love this. I love these bottles too. I'm so pissed Serge Lutens changed their bottles. These were perfect. And I'm kind of pissed that they stopped distributing in the United States. Like, come on, Serge. You used to be one of the best niche brands back in the day. All right. Now we're going to go to probably one of my favorite designers. I mentioned Your Homme the other day. This is Valentino Womo. I mean, for a modern designer, that is. Obviously, my favorite designers would be stuff like Chanel Antaeus or YSL Koros. But for a modern designer, this is a great take on Olivier Polge's original Valentino Womo. This is the intense version done by Sophie Labe. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But it's this clary sage, mandarin orange with iris. It's the iris. It's really the iris here, people. Iris, tonka bean. But it goes into this leather, black leather vanilla thing. And so the 2016 version is now, this version that doesn't have the spiked collar is discontinued. They're no longer making this one. Now, they've started to make one. Valentino Womo circa 2000 and... I don't know what year they started making this in. 2020? 21? And now it has this spiked dog collar looking thing right here. This spiked dog collar. And it's supposedly very similar, but there are differences. The leather's not as dark, and there's a note of sage and juniper, which you actually do not get in the 2016 version. There's no sage and juniper. So they kind of added this strange freshness, aromatic freshness to it. But I still hear it's a good reformulation, but this version is discontinued. Okay, let's move on to the house of Victor and Rolf, shall we? So Victor and Rolf put out a fragrance in 2006 called Antidote. And Antidote is supposed to be the antidote to the boring men's fragrances. And I agree. Now, but if you smell this and you just give it a sniff, you might go, no way, pass. That's a boring men's fragrance in and of itself. It's not. It's very complex. It's a Pierre Wargnier and Eleanor Massenet. And there's so many moving parts to this. It's almost like a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? It's like it's spicy, but it's fresh. You hit with this fresh citruses and mint, but it's spicy. It's floral. It's lavender. It's got cinnamon. It's got leather. It's got so many different moving parts to it. There's woody aspects, guaiac wood, cedar wood, sandalwood. There's resinous parts, labdanum and vanilla. It's musky. There's white musk. There's oak moss. There's this beautiful iris. But you're going to have to give it time. Number one, it is not a beast. It's gone in about 6 hours. So I reapply this every 5-6 hours. Speaking of reapplying, Anubis is absolutely beautiful. Sticking on track, though, it's going to take you a little bit of wear. You know, you're going to wear this, you're going to, you know, understand it better after a little bit of wear, let's say. But it's a beautifully complex designer. This is back when designers used to make stuff like this. All right, now we're going to go to the only other Victor and Rolf fragrance I own, which is called Spice Bomb Extreme. It's the extreme version that I actually like. I don't like Spice Bomb as much. It's got a little bit more bubblegum to it. This is a little bit darker. I like this more. It's got the tobacco. It's got the peppery, cumin, saffron-y, you know, vibe with the tobacco. And of course, in the base is Cistus labdanum, amber, and vanilla. And it's a good winter fragrance. Speaking of winter fragrances, let's go to the house of Parfums de Marly, everyone's favorite niche house, right? The Forty Wink. This is Herod. This is Herod by Parfums de Marly, 2012, so it came out a decade ago. I don't know how I feel about this fragrance. Sometimes I say it's not that bad. Sometimes I wear it and I'm like, ugh, why did I buy this? It's just sweet. It's basically a couple things. It's tobacco, osmanthus, and that osmanthus is very prominent with this vanilla, musky, cedary wood thing. There's a note of pepperwood, which is a synthetic molecule. It's one of those captive molecules probably one of the big houses owns. It's not bad. It's just not what you would expect from a big-time designer, you know. First of all, it's too sweet. For someone like me, I would want the sweetness way toned down. I'm okay with the tobacco, osmanthus, frankincense, woody thing with vanilla. I'm okay. I just want the sweetness way turned down. And but that's what sells, so that's what they're going to offer. That's Herod. And then, of course, their most popular fragrance for men is Leighton. And this is 2016. And Leighton is this apple, lavender, gaiac wood with vanilla, pink pepper, sandalwood, and cardamom. So it's like a spicy, fruity, with, again, some sweetness from the florals and from the vanilla. You know, vanilla is like Parfums de Marly's note du jour. They put it in everything. It's just sweet and syrupy. But I do like this fragrance. You know, it's kind of like Aventus. Everyone just hates it because they hate it because everyone else likes it. And I can't hate something just because everyone else likes it. I may be a little shocked how much they like it. But I actually like this fragrance, believe it or not. Like, if I just want to wear a crowd pleaser, I'll wear this. It's expensive enough where not everyone's going to be wearing it if you go to a club because it's just too expensive for everyone to wear. But it's familiar enough that, you know, people aren't going to be like, whoa, what in the world are you wearing, dude? If you're ever going to a situation where you want to be a little more crowd-pleasing, Leighton is good to have on hand. Get a decant. Okay, next we're going to do Bulgari Black. The hockey puck. The rubbery hockey puck. This is also Ananique Minardo. Green tea, bergamot, leather. This rubbery leather with musk and vanilla. And great fragrance. I don't know if it's still available for purchase or if it's discontinued or not, but completely unisex to me, straight down the middle. Anyone can wear that. It smells great on a man, great on a woman. All right, let's go to some of the powdery orientals of yesteryear. So this is going to be Obsession for men. This is a Calvin Klein Cosmetics fragrance. This is a vintage. And it is very nice. Very wearable, oriental. There's some dirtiness to the amber underneath with vanilla. There's some... interestingly enough, there's a note of red berries listed. I never got that until I actually read it. And then I went, you know what? Maybe there are red berries. Maybe that's just the power of suggestion. I don't know. But the one that's being marketed by Coty right now is a travesty to perfume. But if you can find these vintage Calvin Klein cosmetics bottles, get it. It's fantastic. And then another fragrance in the same vein, okay? This is a perfume called Crazy Crizia. I've talked about this nonstop. I think this is one of the best value for monies. If you like something like this, if you like Obsession, for men or women, Crazy Crizia is fantastic. It adds this greenness at the top with basil, bergamot, and galbanum. And then there's this fruity peach. And then it goes into the whole, you know, Obsession, JHL, Lagerfeld for men from 78. It starts to do some of that, but the ingredients smell so high quality here. And it's a Dominique Ropion, master perfumer Dominique Ropion. Definitely worth the 40 bucks you can score that for. It's been discontinued forever, by the way. I wish some of you guys could come help me put some all this stuff back once we're done. Jesus. All right, next is going to be Escada Magnetism. Now, this is one I'm very glad to have. Escada fragrances are impossible to find nowadays. Oh, God, I love this in the winter. It's so different and good. It's got a little bit of this, like, purple, like, grape soda vibe when you first spray. But it's mixed with leather, pepper, so it's like peppery. Saffron was starting to come into play in 2004 with Tolu Balsam and Vanilla. And, oh, that is a great designer. I'm really disappointed Escada stopped making masculine fragrances. All right, now the fragrance I hate. I cannot stand this fragrance. I bought it for you guys so I could do a review and talk about it, but honestly, it's bad. This is Le Male. So this is a vintage BDP or BPI, whatever they call it. BPI Le Male. It's so disgustingly sweet. It's basically lavender and mint with cinnamon, vanilla, tonka, and cedar. It's just, it's not my thing. Sweet, oriental thing. Yeah, I struggle with that one. That's definitely, you know, high school boy smell to me. If you like that style, though, there's two others I would mention. Number one, Mabussin Homme in this weird-looking bottle with the crazy cap I can never get off. Mabussin smells a little bit more grown-up. Le Male was 95. This was 2003. Similar DNA, lavender, cinnamon, bourbon, vanilla, musk. It was created by Alberto Mordias instead of Francis Kirkjohn. But the one I like the most is probably the hardest to find and way overpriced. I paid a lot of money for this. Even though Anouge gave me a discount, I still paid a lot of money for this. And it's probably not worth that much money. It's a Dominique Ropion, but it's a Casual Friday. This feels the most grown up of this DNA to me. It's anise and lavender with coriander, cinnamon, carnation, which I love, lily of the valley, cardamom, amber, oak moss, patchouli, tonka, vanilla, and cedar. So it has a grown-up feel. It's basically, even though all those notes I listed are there, there's even tarragon I didn't mention. I don't know if I said lavender, jasmine. Basically what you get is lavender, vanilla. You get this lavender-vanilla combo. But the touches of all the other little things like anise, coriander, and cinnamon, of course. That's another big note. All the other little touches just make this much more mature. If I was going to have to wear one regularly, like if I was going to have if I was going to have like a signature scent when I went to work or something, and you said you could wear Le Male, Mabussin, Homme, or Casual Friday, I'm taking Casual Friday all day. But it's discontinued. Impossible to find, but I got the big boy bottle, so I should be good. Thank you, Anouge. Okay. Let's do a couple amouages, shall we? We already did Fate Woman. This is Memoir Man. This is one of the only testers I bought, and I wish I wouldn't have because of the fact that it just stands out in my collection. Like, it doesn't... It doesn't fit all the others because it doesn't have a cap. And so even though I got a great price on this, and it's definitely real, I've smelled the scent before. It's a Carine Vincent Spanner with very green notes: mint, basil, absinthe, lavender, frankincense, dry down of tobacco, leather, vanilla, gaiac, oak moss, sandalwood, musk, amber, and vetiver. It smells like you're in like some crazy enchanted forest, like this Amouage enchanted forest where, you know, you just took LSD and all the green colors are melting in front of your eyes. That's what it smells like, honestly. It's insane. It is challenging, but it's beautiful. If you want to smell art in a bottle, Memoir Man will get you there. It's beautiful. All right, another beautiful fragrance is Sunshine Man. I absolutely love Sunshine Man. Love. It's one of my favorite Immortelle. My God, it's one of my favorite Immortelle fragrances. Lavender, orange brandy, everlasting flower, which is Immortelle, clary sage, juniper, bergamot, vanilla, tonka, and cedar. My God. And look at that bottle. Look at the presentation. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Everything about it. It's just perfect. And it's got a little bed to sit in. Lovely stuff here, guys. Sunshine Man. Look at that presentation. Look at the little feel of the box. Fantastic stuff. All right, now the new Amouage boxes look like this. They're not as cool, but they're not bad. And they open up, and this is called Boundless. Boundless is where I said no more Amouage for me, unfortunately. I used to blind buy everything. It's not that this is a bad perfume. I just expect more from the brand. This let me down. I blind bought it instantly like I was known to do with so many Amouages, and it's a Karine Vincent-Spainer. I know her work. I love her work. This is when the new creative director really started to come in, and Renaud Salmon, and it's not a bad fragrance, but it's not an Amouage, okay? And it's ginger, cardamom, blood orange, LME, bourbon, vanilla, CO2, bourbon, vanilla, absolute. There's a lot of vanilla in here. Tobacco, frankincense, absolute. Frankincense, oak moss, absolute. Cacao, absolute. Papyrus, patchouli, vetiver, myrrh. It's just, it goes into this amber woods dry down thing that kind of bothered me. Like, I expected more, you know? Beautiful, spicy opening, but I just expected more. It just falls apart. What does everyone say when they hate a fragrance? It falls apart in the base. All right, Kenzo Jungle, next, with the elephant cap. Someone said there's one with a tiger cap that's better. I don't know. I like this fragrance. I think it's a beautiful heliotrope fragrance. Oriental. Two master perfumers, Dominique Ropion and Jean-Louis Suizac. Heliotrope, gardenia, vanilla, patchouli, mango, cardamom, clove, licorice, ylang ylang. Lovely Oriental. Marketed for women, totally unisex, and interesting take. They did a lot of interesting things there. Okay, one of my favorite patchoulis of all time, patchouli and vanilla. Chanel's Coromandel. Now, this is the eau de parfum. People say, oh, the eau de toilette's so much better. I don't care. I mean, I would love to have an eau de toilette bottle. I'm not going to pay the money that's being asked for those vintage eau de toilettes, though. It's basically beautiful, sparkly citruses in the top that you expect from Chanel with orris, patchouli. Patchouli's the main note, and then vanilla and white chocolate. Benzoin, frankincense, and amber. It's absolutely stunning. There's nothing wrong with Coromandel. You can't say anything's wrong with this. The only thing that's wrong with it is that I prefer Le Lion. So when I'm wearing this, I'm like, man, I really like this, but I like Le Lion even better. But Jacques Polge, Christopher Sheldrake, I mean, perfume Hall of Fame, perfume, you know, royalty, if you will. All right, so now we're going to do Thierry Mugler's Amen from 96. Lavender, honey, coffee, vanilla, sandalwood, styrax, tonka, musk, and amber with this strange caramel note. You know, a little bit of tar baked in here for good measure. It's beautiful. I mean, if you're a fan of you know, it's one of the few sweet gourmands I can stand. I actually really like this fragrance, and the patchouli in here is outstanding. But of course, vanilla plays the secondary fiddle. Okay, let's do some fragrances I don't talk about very often, mostly because I don't take them out of lock and key, mostly because I'm not interested in wearing them very often, mostly because I'm kind of upset I bought them. The first is Killian Straight to Heaven, Extreme, okay? With the little key that you can lock your stupid box with, that I paid extra money for. That pisses me off. And, you know, it's okay. For 50 ml, whatever they ask for in the store, $500 is complete asinine. This should be 150 bucks, tops. Bourbon Vanilla Absolute with rum, nutmeg, amber, patchouli, and cedarwood. And it's not even that I'm sour about the money. I'm sour that I feel like I got had. You know what I mean? Like I was a sucker, I was a mark, and I spent a bunch of money on this when I probably should have just kept the money and spent it on other fragrances, on 10 other fragrances. But that's how it goes. You got to live and learn. Next is a fragrance called Ani by Nishane. Another one that, you know, is not that great. Cecile Zarokian is the perfumer. It's not that it's bad. It's just not that great. This is an out-and-out vanilla fragrance, basically. But it's like this lemony, yeah, it's like this lemony, ginger, fruity vanilla. That Thai ginger and blackcurrant with vanilla, it's just strange. I mean, I only have a 50 ml bottle, but that's another one where when I wear it, I'm kind of like, why did I buy this, you know? I guess I got caught up in the hype. Now, one I do like that some people don't like is this. This is called Psychedelique by Javoy. And I really like this. This is one of my favorite patchoulis. Everything about this brand is premium. Look at the bottle. Look at the heavy crystal bottle. Heavy cap. If you threw this at someone, it would hurt. Might not knock them out, but it'll hurt. Earthy, spicy patchouli with rose, cistus labdanum, geranium, musk, and vanilla. And it's just beautiful in the cold weather. And I love the little box they give you to carry it in, like a snakeskin box. Beautiful setup. I love this house. I think they're very underrated. Okay, now we're going to go to a Frederick Mall. And, you know, if it's vanilla, it is Musk Ravageor. Now, Musk Ravageor, I prefer the matte cap version, which is vintage and harder to find. But if you can find the matte cap, get it. The new stuff is more gourmand, less animalic. This has a little more animalic musk to it. Vanilla and musk. And there is a lavender note, which I laughed a little bit when people were like, oh, that old school lavender I don't like. I'm like, really? I think it's amazing. I love the lavender opening that goes down into the cinnamon and vanilla. But the matte cap is more animalic. If you can find this, it's worth it. Okay. Another one that's very hard to find that I love is called Bala Versailles by Jean Desprez. And Bala Versailles is, my God, oriental, floral, dirty. Oh, the civet in here is just, it's just amazing. It's Tolu Balsam Vanilla it's resinous. There's an old school lilac note in here. It'll remind you just a touch of like Mitsuko's heart, but instead of a Chypre dry down, it's a hard oriental floral. You get jasmine and lily of the valley and ylang and stuff like that, but there's dirtiness to it. Cedarwood, benzoin, vetiver, just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Very hard to find, very expensive nowadays. This Parfum is long discontinued, but if you can find it at a good price, get it. All right, now, this is another Swedish fragrance for men that I can at least stand. Some of them I can stand, some of them I can't. This one I can stand. This, whoops, let's show the right side, Ramsey. This is L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum from 2016, Thierry Vasser and Delphine Jelk. It's this almond with vanilla and tonka. And it's this almond vanilla cherry-like smell. There's like this spicy cherry note, even though there's no cherry listed. There's leatheriness from something. I don't think there's real leather notes in here. There is some leatheriness from the dry down and sandalwood. I think it's a good designer. You know, if you had to wear a designer, it's not bad. But it is sweet, and it's really made for cold weather. And then we're going to do Vauldina Wheat. And you could pretty much do every Guerlain. Okay, I didn't want to do every Guerlain, but you could have. Vauldina Wheat is galbanum and iris and aldehydes and narcissus and green notes, floral, but it's that vanilla Guerlainade in the dry down that does it. Spicy, woody, you know, sandalwood, orris, so many moving parts. Such a creative fragrance. I mean, Jacques Guerlain was one of the greatest perfumers to have ever lived with what he created. And then we're going to do a fragrance that used to be called Louis. Now it's called Olier Potpourri, I believe. Here's the box. Here's the bottle. So, the marathon is almost over. Praise God. There's Louis. It's now reformulated into that Olier Potpourri. Delphine Jelk created this. And it's basically 4 notes. Benzoin, spicy carnation, vanilla, and leather. It's really carnation heavy, okay? But these used to be, I don't know, $50. Now they're selling the new one for $300. I don't know what Guerlain's doing, but I'm glad to have this, but I would not spend $300 on this, even if they doubled the juice. I don't care. All right. Next is going to be one of my favorite masculines of all time. This is Abbey Rouge. EDT. Make sure you get the EDT. I'm not a big fan of the EDP with the oud or whatever they call it. Oh, it's so good. It's this rosewood with citruses, patchouli, and there's a leatheriness that tends to come out in the dry down because this was fashioned after Jean-Paul Guerlain's love of hunting and horses. And whenever you go hunting and you become a master, you get to a certain level, they give you a red hunting jacket or a red button, or I don't know what it is. I'm not a hunter, but this is fashioned after that. That's where the name comes from, Abbey Rouge. And there's this benzoin vanilla that's just to die for. I love the contrast of citruses and vanilla in here. It's just gorgeous. Abbey Rouge, one of my favorite masculines of all time. There's also a flanker of Abbey Rouge called Dress Code, and I like this fragrance. This is one of the only times you'll ever hear me praise a fragrance that has freaking praline in it, all right? Take a picture. It's the only time it's going to happen. Praline is in here, and I actually like it. It is basically bergamot, neroli, and rose with spicy touches, woody touches, leathery touches, and vanilla and pralines and tonka. It is a good fragrance. For some reason, it reminded me, and I've only worn it a couple times. I need to wear it again. But it reminded me of the work Demachy did in Eau Sauvage Parfum from 2012 with the myrrh and vetiver. I don't know why it reminded me of that, but it did. But for a modern masculine, this is now discontinued, of course. Thierry Vasser created a good fragrance. I wish they would have kept it around, actually. I'm sad to see it go. And then, one of the greatest fragrances of all time, L'Air Bleu. And L'Air Bleu, if you turn it over to the back, highlight the notes. It's got heliotrope, vanilla. Those are the main notes. And then semi-oriental notes and flowers is what it says. But heliotrope and vanilla, are the main notes of L'Air Bleu with anise, carnation, iris. But that vanilla in here is... I mean, like I said, I could have picked every single Guerlain because there's vanilla in the Guerlain. All right, last two. You kind of know what the last one is. I talked a little bit about it earlier. But the one before the last one, which I don't rank these. This is unranked, okay? But I did save two of my favorites for the end. This is Creed Venezia. My God, this fragrance is such a gem. I think they, you know, Creed has kind of been known to copy other brands. There is very little question about that. And I think the copy here was Shalimar, which is coming up next. But they did such a glorious job on this because it's not complex, all right? It's not something that's going to blow your socks off. But what it does is it does what it does so well. And there's just only 4 or 5 notes here. Bergamot in the top, big bergamot, just like Shalimar has like 30% bergamot or some insane number. Same with Venezia. It's a huge bergamot top with Bulgarian rose, ambergris, sandalwood, and vanilla. The ambergris smells real. Sandalwood smells like Mysore, even though it's not. Smooth, buttery, you know, almost like flexible sandalwood. You know, sandalwood trees, when they're little, you can like move them around. It has that flexible sandalwood smell to it. It's just beautiful though. Gorgeous. And some people have bought this off of my recommendation and they've come back and said, yes, absolutely fantastic fragrance. You're spot on. It smells like real ambergris. It smells like real Mysore, which it probably isn't, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe in these older bottles it is. And of course the vanilla. And finally, my favorite vanilla of all time, there is no doubt, it is Shalimar. Shalimar is the greatest vanilla fragrance, hands down. You know, absolutely no question about it. Oh, that dirty vanilla, that huge bergamot, dirty vanilla with iris, balsamic notes, rose. I think rose is probably the most prominent flower, but you'll also get like touches of jasmine and it's so good. You know, that orris butter, that buttery orris. Oh God, with the vanilla. This is a vintage Parfum de Toilette. This is a modern eau de parfum, and it's gorgeous. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We're at 1 hour and 12 minutes. I know we're over time. This was a long one. I'm glad to get it done with. It was a bit of a hassle, but it's done. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you guys can tune in tomorrow for the beautifully gifted Liz Moore to join the channel. What are we going to talk about? Leave comments below if you want me to ask her questions, or if you can join the live stream, leave them in the comments and we'll try to get to them. So cheers, guys. I really do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye now.